Dear friends, welcome to the latest episode of the True Waters podcast. My name is Nga. I grew up in northern Vietnam and have been living elsewhere since I was 23. This series is a way for me to journal the humble insights I've gathered along the way. These insights are personal to my being, and I hope they might find some meaning in your life as well. May we be happy. May we be free from pain and suffering. May we live in peace and well-being. And may we be free. And may we be free. Hi, welcome back. It's so good to be back again. And I've been busy with the move in and settling in a new place, and finally managed to reflect on a recent short stay with a local family in Đắk Lắk, which is a province in Vietnam's Central Highlands. Their house is located on the outskirts of Buôn Ma Thuột, the main city of Đắk Lắk. A typical countryside home in this region, I would say. A large lot of land with a house and a big yard, often used as a garden. Sometimes the yard surrounds the house, other times it is located at the back. And in the house I stayed at, there was a yard in the front, paved with concrete, and mostly used for parking and drying harvest, while a large garden lay behind the house. Well, the garden wasn't particularly lush, given that it was during the peak of dry season, but still, it was super diverse. You can find a wide variety of tropical fruit trees there, from banana, mango, jackfruit, durian, to sapodilla, avocado, star apple, mulberry, you name it. But it is more of a mixed garden than a proper orchard, with a bit of everything scattered throughout. In the garden, growing among the fruit trees were various medicinal plants such as aloe vera and pipalolod, as well as short-term crops like sugarcane and yucca or cassava. There were even yellow apricot trees in full and beautiful bloom at the time, a type of flowering tree commonly displayed during Tết, or the Vietnamese Lunar New Year, especially in central and southern Vietnam, I think. Here and there also stood plants whose names I'd never heard of. Notably, I noticed a designated space for a few dozen Oroxylum indicum trees, commonly called Indian trumpet tree, or cây núc nác in Vietnamese. Planted in straight rows, these trees grew tall and slender, and their leafy canopies spread like open umbrellas, which is really amazing. The landlord, whom I casually called Uncle Thành, said that the núc nác trees were often used by farmers as a support structure for black pepper vines. While not a pepper plantation per se, the pepper grown in this garden was enough for annual harvest and sales to local traders, he said. Fortunately, I happened to arrive during the black pepper harvest season, and thanks to that, I got to see the ripening of the black pepper, observe the harvesting, and hear Uncle Tang's stories about pepper farming. Well, the garden isn't particularly impressive, I would say, but keeping it green and healthy has taken a real and persistent struggle from Sister Oanh, who is the daughter of Uncle Thành. In many years, it was her who urged him to let the trees and plants, including the black pepper, grow naturally without relying on toxic chemicals or sprays. Sister Oanh was also the one who talked Uncle Thành out of cutting down old trees in order to keep the home shaded and green. As he grew older, Uncle Tang found it increasingly difficult to tend to both the garden and the upland field, or rẫy in Vietnamese. So at first, he just wanted to get rid of all the black pepper vines and plant other crops instead to save his time and energy for harvesting. Logs from the nuknak trees can fetch a good price too, he said. But at Sister Wang's insistence, he gave up the ideas. Woody plants take years to mature, and when they do, they also help sustain the habitat around them. When you cut down these trees, you happen to hurt and destroy the entire habitat, Sister Wang said in one of our conversations. According to her, the long-term benefits that these trees provide are not worth sacrificing for short-term gains at all. When I was in Phú Yên, as a morning routine, I would walk into the front yard, take in the sky and the earth, watch the sunrise, and do some light exercise. Since I moved to Đắk Lắk and became a little bit packed with stuff to do, my routine got a little bit messed up, and it wasn't until nearly a fortnight that it began to take shape again in a new form. Now, instead of heading into the cemented front yard, I stepped out into a real garden. Rather than seeing the cloudless, deep blue sky framed by the squared pergola in the front yard, and bounded by the roofs of the neighboring houses, I admired patches of high, dappled sky through the gaps of the nuknak tree's canopy. Although the garden was not lush and vibrant during the dry season, and was just a family-scale one, whenever I walked around it, under the leafy canopies, I felt super rejuvenated and alive, as if I was in a little forest. A little forest where there are not only trees, but also birds singing, tokay gecko echoing, squirrels leaping between branches, dogs frolicking around, cool wind blowing, and fallen leaves on the ground beneath my feet dabbled with sunlight. How grateful I am to the one who nurtured the garden, and also the one who stood up for it. What they've created and protected is not just a garden for themselves, but beyond that, a home and a refuge for an entire little ecosystem, including myself. As you can see, this podcast thumbnail was taken while I was in the garden. I remember I was enjoying the sunrise in the early morning, and at one point I turned around and stood very still to take in the refreshing greenery, especially black pepper vines climbing onto the body of the tall and slender nuknak trees. Together, all of them, rose under the sunlight. Dear friends, I hope you have enjoyed the episode. Among all the content out there, thank you for slowing down and listening. That alone already means a lot to me. If you'd like to support this podcast, you can subscribe to the channel. And if you're able, you can buy me a tea through the PayPal link in the description below. Your support in any form is deeply appreciated. I hope you stay well. See you next time.